Hello, my beautiful Facebookers and all those who are watching me on their other social media platforms. It's your girl Raquel here from yourspiritualrock.com, where I help you get the answers that you seek. There was a question that came in that was talking about meditations and says, do guided meditations really work? And they were a pessimist, like I don't believe in them. I don't believe that they work. Well, they work. The answer is yes and no and maybe, and sometimes. So let's go through that. Hey, Anna. Hello, everyone. Thank you for pinging in and coming and waving. I appreciate it. So let's go through a couple things. Meditation is the act of using one form of meditation. The form of meditation that I talk about is found in the best-selling book in the world, where it says, meditate on the word day and night, and you will find success. So the word meditation there is the word haga, which means to meditate, to mutter to yourself, to imagine, to roar out. So it's an active thing that you're doing. And the form of meditation that people do all the time instinctively is imagination. You can't go any farther than you see. And so we are created to function out of our soul space. That's why, again, the best-selling book in the world tells us that you will prosper and be in health as your soul, your mind, will, and emotions prosper. So in your soul space is where you have your imagination. And your imagination is your commercial for the future. Think about something long enough, you're going to do it. And so what happens with our meditation, which is our imagination, and you do it all the time. You did it more as a child than as you grow up, depending on your personality cluster. For most personality gift clusters, they don't participate in active imagination. They do it, but they do it by default instead of by design. And so you're in this imagination space. You do it. You're having a conversation with someone in your head, and because now there are thoughts that are being activated, you're going to feel as though that conversation actually happened. And depending on how you think it's going to go, you'll either feel good about it or not so good about it, because your brain starts to release the corresponding chemical signatures along with your thoughts. But that hasn't even happened yet. And the reason you're feeling that way in your imagination is because your brain only understands now. It doesn't know that what you're imagining is not true. It just thinks it's now and that it's happening. So when you're activating your imagination, then it thinks it's happening. It thinks that it's reality. It cannot, it doesn't know the difference between reality, what's real and what's not real. So that's why meditations work. They always work. Always. Because that's the way your brain is designed. Your brain is designed, you are designed to create your own commercials and to release the blueprint of what you want to see, happen in your life. So think about your current life, and for the most part, it's a reflective pond. What you have been thinking about, imagining, has been coming into fruition in some form. Now, I don't believe that it's everything, because you have the caveat that other people have their choices to make, and that they can invade your universe, your verse, your U-verse, and do either kind things or not so kind things. They can bring you in favor that you were not expecting, or destruction. Because life and death are in the power of the tongue, and they also have the right, as humans, as creatures that are made in the image and likeness of God, to create or destroy with what they say. Words are like swords. They can cut deeply, and there are some wounds that people never get over because they don't know how. And they end up replaying these wounds, these swords that were released through words over and over again. And since your brain cannot distinguish between the past in the future. It thinks it's happening over and over and over again. So does meditation work? Absolutely, because you're already doing it. So if you start to think about, just pause and start to say, well, what was I thinking about for a long period of time that is in line with what I'm seeing? And, start with the good stuff, like your health or your friends or your business or, your mate or whatever good is happening in your life. See where your thought patterns were going. Because everything happens in patterns. Everything. And so those patterns were out of habits, right? The habits create the patterns. The patterns then create strongholds. So these strongholds are now in your mind. And when you believe something, even if it's not true, it's true for you. So you will continue to make decisions in line with your belief system, even if your belief system is completely flawed. You will find justifications for your flawed belief. You will hang out with people who have similar consciousness. That's why resonance is not always a good thing, because like begets like. And the reason you have resonance with someone is because there's something about them that is like you. That is rapport. Really, all people prefer others reflecting themselves. That is rapport. And you're naturally, intuitively picking up the vibe, the frequency, the belief system of someone who's similar to you, and that's why you like them. Because they have enough of the similitude to be comfortable around. So going back to meditations, do guided meditations work? Yes, because the point of the meditation is to give you what you want. The point of the meditation is to create the new belief system in order for it to become a stronghold. And then you just naturally fall into it. Think of your stronghold as a habit that's hard to break, that is so entangled into every cell in your being that that's just the way it is. So if you're thinking about, for instance, like if you are a family person, some people are just more family orientated than others, and that's okay. Everybody has different giftings. So if you're family orientated and family means everything to you, and you're like, nothing is more important than family, that sounds great, but in the exaggeration of that, because, in any belief system that you have, for the most part, that are outside of being connected to your relationship with God, it can be crippling. It can actually be detrimental, because if you believe that family is everything, then you will compromise things that you think are in everyone's best interest, because you're doing it. Your excuse, your justification is because family is everything. So if you believe more that family is everything versus you would do what is right because it's right regardless, then your stronger belief system that family is everything will override the virtue of doing what's right because it's right. You're replaying that commercial over and over and over again. That is your stronghold. Let's talk about poverty for a second so you can understand where the meditations are going to be important for you. So scientifically, we are hardwired for things after the fourth generation, when it happens generation after generation after generation. Your DNA is actually changed. So let's say that you come from a family that has been in poverty for at least 4 generations. Your cells are now corrupted. Sin is anything that is outside of what God says is good for you. Being poor is not good for you. Poverty is part of the curse. So what God did was he crushed poverty when Jesus had the crown of thorns on his head. There had to be a blood exchange. So the blood exchange was the blood of a perfect man to crush the spirits and the results of poverty, because you were not made to live in poverty. And you know that this will be true because he says that the work of your hands are blessed. That was the command. That is the release. That is the executive order from heaven. The work of your hands are blessed. And if they're not blessed, well, that means they're cursed. But why are they cursed? Because someone's cursing you? Well, this is a fallen world, and we come into a fallen world. I got the hiccups all of a sudden. Sorry. We've come into a fallen world, but God in his love and mercy sent the Redeemer in order to give us our position back. Not only to get us back, because we have a choice. We are his creatures, but we're not all his children. We have a divine right or free will that he gave us. And it's our choice if we want to accept him or not, and accept the sacrifice. And if we do, then we become the children of God. We are all not children of God. We're not. We're all creatures of God, made in his image and likeness, divine beings. But it isn't until we choose him, that we say yes to his love and mercy and grace, that we become children of God. So this is going to work even if you don't believe that part or not, because there are spiritual truths and there are natural laws that are in place because you are made in his image and likeness. And so even if you don't believe that particular part, this is still going to work for you, because this is the way your brain is created, in science and neuroscience and quantum physics back this up. You can do your own research, but I have a lot of research if you're interested in that. So when you're hardwired, let's say going back to poverty, now because you're hardwired for it, your decisions are going to be based that will make that a self-fulfilling prophecy for you. So until you change that belief system, it's not going to change for you. That's why you have people who come out of poverty and they still have this hard hustle mentality, and they're like, I will never be poor again. They make these internal vows, and then other things happen, like they end up losing a lot of their money, or they make bad decisions, financial decisions, that even though they made all this money and now it's all gone, because they still have a poverty mentality. They live outside of their means. And if you're living outside of your means, then that's an indication that part of your belief system has a poverty mindset. If you cannot live within your means, there's something there that needs to be redeemed. So now what? Are you stuck with your genes? It's like saying somebody who has a propensity for alcohol will always be an alcoholic. That's just not true. You can actually rewire your brain so that your genetic makeup shows up differently, responds differently. And because you have cells dying every day, and you have cells that are being created every day, you can program the new cells with the new belief system. So how does that happen? Meditation. There's only two ways that you can change your belief system. One is repetition, and the other is an extreme emotional experience. So that's why you need to be, I don't know if I want to say the word careful, but you want to become aware of the television programs that you watch. Break up the word. It's telling a vision, programming you. You're not watching it. It's telling you a story. It's causing an emotional reaction in you that will, over time, as you continue to watch it, change your belief system. It will. No one is immune to it. That's why if you're listening to certain kinds of music, that is also meditation. Because what are you doing? Now you're bringing your body in line by shaking your head, by dancing to it, by repeating the lyrics. You're not going to escape it. I'm sorry, but you're not going to. Your mind is created that everything you see, everything is recorded through your eyes. It goes into your subconscious. So if you want to have a different life, start to be mindful over what you let through your eye gate. Because it's impacting eventually your belief system, which impacts your decisions, which will impact your destiny. So what meditations do is that since you repeat certain things, you are in, you go into a state where you're relaxed, and the kind of meditation that I teach is very active. So when I create meditations, I will use a lot of adjectives and verbs because it's action orientated, because I want you to see a picture. I want your soul involved so that way you can prosper and be in health as your soul prospers, because that is an exact equation. Over time, your belief system will start to change. And as it changes, you're going to notice that now there's going to be an internal fight. Because you know that you're made for success. You know that you're made for love. You're wired for love, but you're programmed for failure. You're wired for success. You're wired to excel. You're wired to do well. You're wired for health. You're wired for grace and mercy. That's supposed to be your default. But you're programmed through experiences. And a lot of your programming came before you were 8 years old. Most of your beliefs, because we're in a theta state before we're 8 years old, we're kind of believing everything. And we're starting to lay the groundwork, the foundation for our belief systems. And then those belief systems manifest themselves when we're adults. Which is why you have people who are like in their 40s and 50s and 60s and they still don't know what they were created for. Or they're still dealing with things that happened to them when they were very, very young. Because something happened that was traumatic, that got into their belief system, and it impacted, it rippled through time. And it stole from them. It stole happiness and joy and connections and success because they were not healed from the trauma that happened to them. And even if you didn't have any trauma particularly happen to you, if you have belief systems that are contrary to your original wiring of success, you will make choices that are not the best for you because you're going to make them in line with your belief system. You do it automatically. So in order for you to rewire your brain, so see your brain, the neuroscientists call it the magic trees of the mind. So you have all these like beautiful nerve endings that look like trees, and they all have like thousands and thousands of branches that come out. So when you have, let's say, your brain is a forest, and you want, there's some green trees, and those are the things that are attached to love and honor and hope and grace and mercy, all that good, juicy, good stuff. But the ones that are attached to negative things, like maybe you feel like nothing you do is good enough, you don't look the right way, you're not charismatic enough, you're not smart enough, whatever those lies that you believe, those look like Lord of the Rings, black, gnarly kind of looking trees. So you can't uproot those trees, but you can melt them down. And what you do is that you have to go into a meditation practice. Because while you are now trying to sow in, that's the seed, right? Yesterday we talked about how if you don't have no problems, you don't have any seeds. And everything is given to you, but it's given to you in seed form. Meditation is the seed form. So you're going to go and you can do a guided meditation, because if you don't know where to start, then get a good guided meditation. And it should be something that is going to activate your imagination. Especially for those who are spiritual entrepreneurs, you know, your mind is racing all the time. You're always thinking. That's what makes you good at what you want to do. That gives you your drive, is that imagination space, is the thinking, is the analytical thinking, is the deep thinking, is the creative thinking, you know, is the project management. So your mind is always going. And so for those whose mind is always going, it's very difficult for them to meditate in the way that most people teach it, because their mind is going. You're told not to think about anything. And if I tell you, okay, shh, don't think about anything. You just thought about something. Because that's just the way it is. When I tell you not to do it, you're going to do it. If I say dog, depending on your experience with dogs, you might see a poodle, you might see a double pincher, you might see, you know, a little bitty dog or a big one. Your mind is always looking for pictures and images. And so when you are meditating, what you're doing is you are melting down that lie that you believe and creating new neural pathways with the new belief system. Oh, Shine, you're so funny. So you create a new one. So you're melting down that belief system, those neural pathways that are not good for you, and then creating new ones that are in line with what you want. And then over time, you create the habit that is in line with what you're saying that you want. And then over time, you start making the better decisions that are in line with what you want. Your intuition starts to become stronger. And as you honor your intuition, you're going to start finding more and more success. So that's why meditations work. So do they work? Absolutely. You're doing it all the time. Do guided meditations work? Yes and no. Well, yes, they work, but they won't work if you don't believe. They don't work if you're not all in. They don't work if you're not consistent. You have to be consistent. You have to do it for a minimum of 21 days. And I tell people that they really need to do it for like at least it's an odd number, like 61 days, 65 days. Because people are like, oh, 21 days builds a habit. You're told that over and over again. It actually doesn't. It starts to create one, but in order for it to be a real habit, you need to do it for over 60 days, and 90 is kind of the magic number. It's a season. So after a season of doing something, it becomes automatic, and that's how you know it's a habit, because then you get so used to it that when you don't have it anymore, or you're not doing it, you feel the effects of the void. You will prosper and be in health as your soul prospers. But you need to meditate day and night on what's good, on the good word. And what's the good word? Anything that is connected to blessing, to love, to grace, to honor, to what is good, to what is pure, to what is perfect. Meditate on those things and you will find success in whatever it is that right now you're lacking in. Everything you need, you already have in seed form. You just need to work it. You need to water it. You need to nurture it. That's why some of the top CEOs, they take a whole day out and they don't do any work. They block out the whole day just to think. Why? Because thinking is really your gift. No one thinks exactly like you. Because you're created to be a solutionist. The answers that people are seeking are in you. And how are you going to come up with a solution for them if you don't have time to play in your imagination? If you don't have time to think? If you don't have time to just be? Yesterday we talked about behaving. Be to have. How are you behaving? You can't behave in a way that's going to get you what you want if you're not taking the time to nurture. You will get farther doing more meditation and less work. Because then you're focusing on the right thing. Talked about focus yesterday too, right? Follow one course until successful. Well, if you're not being successful in what you want, if you keep on hitting the same wall, that's life trying to tell you, hey, you're going the wrong way. Turn around. You missed the stop. You missed the exit. Turn around. That's actually what repentance means. It means to stop, turn around, and change your thinking. But people don't repent right either. They say they're sorry and they're sorry, but they don't change their thinking. And you can't change your thinking until you meditate and create a new stronghold in you, a good one. And then you'll make those automatic decisions. Because your brain is always looking for patterns. It's looking for habits because it wants to cool itself down. That's why meditations work. Because it helps you to create the new neural pathways to get you to think in line with what is good for you. You're doing it automatically anyway. You're just not doing it on purpose. You're living by default instead of design. Your outer world is a mirror to your inner world. So if you do not like what you see, the answer is get new seed. Stop feeding the bear. You know, when bears get attacked, and that's where you get the bear hug, they squeeze it. They squeeze it until that thing that was attacking them is dead. You keep on feeding the thing that is squeezing the life out of you. And as you meditate and try to root in a new belief system, you will get triggered. But you're supposed to. You're supposed to get triggered of some of the old memories that was connected to that old belief system in order for it to heal. And it's going to be like a bear hug. It's not going to want to let you go because it's a stronghold. But you're stronger than that. God made you fierce. He's given you different kinds of people to come into your life to strengthen you. You are not alone. And even if you feel alone, you can go and find people on YouTube and, like Anna says, put somebody else in your ear. When you're in that place, you need to put somebody else in your ear. And that's why guided meditations are really powerful. Because now there's an outside force, there's an outside voice coming into agreement with you, releasing that good thing into your life, and now you're in agreement. And there is a spiritual powerhouse dynamic about coming into agreement. Right? We know that. That's resonance. And the stronger the resonance, the more powerful that conversation is. Even if you're not really talking to them, because you're listening to them in the guided meditation. But what's the point of conversation? The root is to convert. That's another reason why you need to be mindful of the conversation you're having in your head, the imagination, this imagination space. You are programming your mind constantly. Constantly. If you don't like what you see, get new seed and then nurture it. So how long should you meditate? My suggestion is to do it for at least 20 minutes on one subject only. And the reason I say 20 minutes, I have like a 20-minute rule. You can do anything for 20 minutes, number one. The second thing is that it takes at least 7 minutes for your mind to start coming into sync with what you're doing. So you need a minimum of 10 minutes. And so if you can do something for 20 minutes, you know, that's pretty good. And really start there. And if you can't start at 20, do the minimum, which is 10 minutes on one subject. Don't go from subject to subject because your mind needs time to create. And it needs time to go through a process of going through your beautiful mindset and thinking process. So give yourself a break of a few minutes before you go into another kind of subject. So guided meditations work because you're doing it all the time. But if you're going to do it on purpose, They will only work when you're all in. When you have gotten to the point where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and that you need something to change. And that change has been given to you. You have the power. You have been given the power to change what you see in your universe. You have been given that divine right by the creator of all things, who looked at this timeline and said this timeline was insufficient without you in it. The one who named all the stars also designed you. You are beautifully and uniquely made. Uniquely made. There will never be another one of you. Never. This is it. You get one life. There is no reincarnation. You get one life. Make it count. Make it count. Because God thinks you are worth it. He sees your end from your beginning. That's the way we're designed to. That's what meditation is for. To see the end from the beginning. If you want great results, then mimic the one who always gets great results. Follow his method of operations. Every day there's another chance. Every moment you have another chance. Sean's asking, so no second chances. You get thousands of chances. We only have the now. Every second, it's another chance. Every moment, it's another chance. You have another chance. It's called now. Now is your other chance that you've been waiting for. Now is your set time. Now. Not later. Now. Now is the chance that you've been waiting for, the breakthrough that you've been waiting for, the answer that you have been waiting for. You got it. It's up to you. You can either whine about it, complain about it, blame other people, blame the government, blame other races, blame other genders. The other gender, not genders, right? There's only two. Really, there's only two. You're either male or female. You either have a girl part or a boy part when you're born. There's two genders. What do? You can be the victim or you can be the victor. Can't be both. So what do you want to be? What do you want to be? You want to live the rest of your life in the woe is me, I can never have, this will never be? You can have both. Yeah. And that's true, Sean, there's a mixture of that. We are a work in progress. And just as when you heal one thing, something else is going to come up for you to heal from. Because we all live through this. We have lies that we believe. And God in his mercy does not show you everything, or we will run. And we were thinking even worse about ourselves because we're so screwed up. Or we're never going to get all this stuff done. How can I get through this? Just one thing at a time. Just one thing at a time. Work on one thing. Put all your focus on that. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to that. So if you like this kind of stuff, I want to make sure to invite you to our Be Limitless membership site, where I give out even more content along the lines of this kind of training. It is only $1, and I will put the link after this Facebook Live, and you'll see the link below in other social media platforms. I hope this was helpful for you. Yeah, thank you so much for being here, Sean, and for participating and asking such good questions. Thank you so much. Love you guys. I will see you soon with another video, and hope that you have an amazing transformational Thursday. Bye now.